They say miracles come when you least expect them. But as I sat in the park, drowsy from another failed fertility treatment, I never imagined waking up with a newborn baby in my arms and a note in her tiny hands that would shatter my world into a million pieces. Some days change your life forever. For me, it was an ordinary Tuesday in September when my world turned upside down. I'm Grace, 35 years old, and for 8 years my husband Joshua and I have tried desperately to have a child. We've endured countless treatments, shed more tears than I can count, and watched our dreams slip away month after month. That afternoon I had just left another disappointing appointment at the fertility clinic. Dr. Rivera's words still echoed in my head. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Thompson. The latest round wasn't successful." The drive home was a blur. I pulled over twice, unable to see through my tears. As if mocking my situation, the radio played a commercial for diapers, and I had to turn it off. 8 years of this emotional roller coaster had taken its toll on both of us. Joshua and I barely talked about it anymore, the silence between us growing with each failed attempt. I couldn't face going home right away. Joshua would be there, trying to be strong for both of us, and I couldn't bear to see the hope die in his eyes one more time. So I went to Riverside Park, our quiet haven in the chaos of the city. "Just need to clear my head," I mumbled to myself, settling onto a sun-warmed bench. The medication always made me drowsy, and before I knew it, my eyes were drifting closed. The gentle cooing of pigeons and the distant laughter of children must have roused me from my medication-induced slumber. As my eyes fluttered open, adjusting to the late afternoon sun, I realized everything had changed. In my arms was a sleeping newborn baby girl, swaddled in a pale yellow blanket. For a moment I thought I was dreaming. Oh God, I jerked upright, trying not to jostle the infant even as panic seized my chest. My eyes darted wildly around the park. "Hello, please, is anyone there? This baby, whose baby is this?" That's when I noticed the note, clutched in her tiny fist like a lifeline. With trembling fingers, I carefully unfolded the paper. The handwriting was rushed, almost frantic. "Her name's Andrea. I can't take care of her anymore. Now she's yours. Forgive me for everything. Don't look for me. You'll never find me. Take care of her. Goodbye." My heart was pounding so hard I could barely breathe. Next to the bench was a diaper bag packed with everything a newborn would need: formula, diapers, a few onesies, and even a small stuffed rabbit with a pink bow. I fumbled for my phone, nearly dropping it as I dialed Joshua. "Grace, aren't you supposed to be at the clinic?" He was alarmed. "Josh, I need you." Now, something's happened. Someone left a baby with me in the park. She was just sleeping in my arms. I don't know what to do. There was a long pause. "Don't move. I'm coming right now." "Josh, I'm scared," I whispered, looking down at the peaceful face of this mysterious baby. "What if someone's looking for her? What if something's wrong?" "Stay calm, honey. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Just keep her safe." While I waited, I couldn't help but study the little one's perfect little face. She couldn't have been more than a few weeks old. Her skin was so soft, her tiny pink fingers curled into fists. Despite the insanity of the situation, something in my heart felt weird. An elderly woman walked by, smiling at us. "What a beautiful baby," she said. "How old is she?" My throat tightened. "Just a few weeks." "Treasure every moment," she advised. "They grow up so fast." If only she knew. Joshua's car screeched to a halt at the park entrance 15 minutes later. He ran toward us, his face brimming with confusion and concern. "Oh my God," he whispered, staring at the sleeping little angel. "Is this real?" "I don't know what to do," I said, tears finally spilling over. "We need to go to the police, right?" He nodded, running a hand through his hair, a nervous habit I knew well. "Yeah, we do. But first, is she okay? Does she need anything?" As if on cue, Andrea began to stir, her face scrunching up. Before she could cry, I found myself swaying her gently, the way I'd always imagined I would with our own baby. "It's okay, little one," I whispered. We'll figure this out. Joshua watched us, confused and happy at the same time. You look so natural with her, Grace, he said softly. Don't I warned? This isn't. We can't think like that. We need to do the right thing. He nodded, but I could see the longing in his eyes. The same longing I'd been fighting all these years. Let's go to the police station, he said finally. They'll know what to do. The police station buzzed with activity. As officers pored over security footage from the park, I noticed the face of the woman who abandoned the baby was frustratingly blurry, thwarting attempts to identify her. Meanwhile, social services were notified, and I found myself repeating my story countless times. No, I didn't see anyone. Yes, I was asleep. The note was in her hand when I woke up. A kind officer named Brooke brought us coffee and a bottle of milk for Andrea. You're doing the right thing, she assured us. We'll figure out where she belongs. Through it all, I couldn't let go of Andrea. She needed a diaper change, and Officer Brooke directed me to a small bathroom. That's when everything changed again. As I carefully changed the baby's diaper, I saw a small, distinctive birthmark on the inside of her thigh. My heart stopped. It was identical to Joshua's, the same mark I'd traced with my finger countless times over our years together. The world turned upside down, and memories flashed through my mind. Joshua working late last year, the strange calls he'd take in another room, and the distance that had grown between us. I walked back out to the waiting area on shaky legs. Joshua was talking to an officer, his back to me. Josh, I called out. I need to show you something. In a quiet corner of the station, I showed him the birthmark. The color drained from his face in an instant. Is there something you need to tell me? I asked, my teary eyes boring into his. Are you hiding something from me, Josh? He sank into a chair, head in his hands. Grace, I can explain. Then explain. Remember last year when I was working late on the Miller account, he couldn't meet my eyes? Tell me. I'm all ears. There was this woman, Kira. She was going through a divorce, and we started talking. She knew about our struggles to have a baby. Did you sleep with her? His silence was answer enough. It was just a few weeks, he finally confessed. We ended it. I never knew she was pregnant. I swear, Grace, I had no idea. I felt like I was underwater, everything muffled and distant. While I was taking hormones and going through painful procedures, you were having an affair. I'm so sorry, he whispered. I never meant for any of this to happen. I looked down at Andrea, still sleeping peacefully, unaware of the chaos she'd brought into our lives. How could you do this to us? I cried, staring at Joshua. The man I loved, and trusted unconditionally. I was lost, he said, his eyes pleading. Watching you go through all those treatments, seeing how much pain you were in. I couldn't handle it. Kira was just there. And now her baby, your baby, is here, with us. The DNA test later confirmed what we already knew. Andrea was Joshua's daughter. That night, in our too-quiet house, with Andrea asleep in a hastily purchased bassinet, I finally broke down. Do you know what it's been like? Everyone questioning why I couldn't give you a child. The pitying looks. The suggestions to just relax and it'll happen, and all this time while you… Joshua reached for me, but I backed away. Don't. Just don't. I know I messed up, Grace. But please, can we try to work through this? For Andrea's sake. I looked at the sleeping baby. Despite everything, my heart swelled with love for her. She was innocent in all of this. I don't know how to forgive you, I admitted. I don't know how to forgive myself, he replied. Days turned into weeks. We started therapy, trying to rebuild what was broken. Some days were harder than others. My sister thought I was crazy for staying. He cheated on you, Grace. File for divorce. But as I held Andrea each night, watching her tiny chest rise and fall, I knew it wasn't that simple. Love rarely is. I don't know if I can ever trust you again, I told Joshua one evening as we sat on opposite ends of the couch. He nodded, his eyes glistening. I understand. But I'm not giving up on us. It's been months since the stormy revelation of my husband's affair and the baby that resulted from it. As I rock Andrea to sleep every night, I realize that life doesn't always follow the path we imagined. Sometimes it takes unexpected turns, bringing us gifts wrapped in challenges. Yes, Joshua betrayed me, and that pain won't fade overnight, but looking down at this precious little girl in my arms, I know I can't walk away. Not from her, and maybe not from us either. Healing takes time. Trust needs to be rebuilt slowly and steadily. But as Andrea's tiny fingers wrap around mine, I feel a glimmer of hope. Perhaps this isn't the family we planned for, but it's ours now. And maybe, just maybe, we can find our way to a new kind of happiness. One day at a time.